There we go. Hello, everyone. Two people just joining, two people who have been waiting, and to everyone watching things back on the pod, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this. Hello, welcome back to another stream, and welcome back to Game Dev Sunday. Now, I know I skipped last week, and I forgot to announce on the Discord that I was skipping last week as a whole or last week's Game Dev Sunday as a whole because stuff happens sometimes. I'm also trying to find hmm something chill. And it's likely going to be hmm let me think, let me think, let me think, let me think, let me think. Uh this one will work. Like another. So many of them are me ones. Oh well. Anyway. So that is because I did say I was going to use the gap between last week and this week to sort of kind of try and think of some ideas or plan things out. And to be fair, I did plan some little bits, but at the same time, I need to sort of properly, go over things as a whole rather than just, say, yeah, I've got some ideas and just dive into it haphazardly. So I'm going to do that properly. However, sorry, I'm eating carrot. Very sorry about this. There we go. Right. So, in order to properly understand where things need to go next, I think it's a good idea to take a look at things as a whole, what we've done so far. Like, not just with, the animations, but with the project as a whole. I need to try and find some of the previous things that I did when I was making Notes in Clip Studio. It's somewhere. Um... Um... Oh yeah, the prototype prerequisites. I'll open that as well. There we go. Okay, so I'm not going to go into this just yet. I'm going to essentially go into things like, or as to the best of my abilities, I'm going to try and recount things from last year up until this point, and that's going to be kind of difficult because I can't remember exactly every single point of detail, but truthfully, I mean, I'll do what I can. I'll do what I can. So, last year, so first we start the project, of course. I don't know. Oh god, I just realized what's happened because I've uninstalled and reinstalled drivers and whatnot. Where is the tablet properties? Because if I look at Clip Studio pane mapping, it's mapped to both monitors again. There we go. Right, now it's sorted. It's sorted now. Okay, so start the project. We figured out like for player mechanics. So for player like movement mechanics and the like. I'm not remembering like the exact timeline. If I wanted to check the exact timeline for things, I could check like the actual like, where is it? The game development playlist. So if I view the okay. Okay, right. Oh, hello. So checking out like the timeline of things like from the playlist for all the game dev streams I've done on like on stream. Like there were like quite a few bits that I did on stream, and then there were some bits I just didn't do on stream, I think, from what I remember. I mean, we have the basic, like, some of the small basic for enemy behavior. As well as some other bits here or there. And then last year I did, like, originally the rat model I made last year, but then didn't do anything with the animations and the weight painting and the textures until, like, this year. So I just kind of left that there. I'm trying to figure things out. Like, I'm going back through, like... Good lord, it's going to take me a while to figure... Hold on, chat. I mean, of course, setting things up with the player did involve, like, making the custom character movements, so I had, like... the thing with, like, gravity and how it, like, how in particular it works in this project and whatnot. And then, like, the player stomp. Is... Okay, from as far as I can tell, I have also slowly, like... So I don't remember the exact, like, order of, like, when I made things. I know that the stomp definitely came before, like, air dashes and whatnot, but... it's just trying to gather all of the things in my head. Right. And eventually, like, after, like, God knows what happened, made initial prototype, received some feedback, and through what admittedly has been a long-ass time, because I've been very slow with trying to work on the animations, we have actioned said feedback. Like, we have I have action said feedback. And now that I've action said feedback, which was, for the most part, through working on those animations, specifically for the air dash and the stomp, though, you know, it was nice to get some, you know, actual animations put in for the player, just in general. It's a matter of where next? And that's what I'm hoping to try and figure out today, is where we go from here. Now, there are, like, a few things that I also need to sort of address before I have, like, an actual full-on prototype, rather than the mini one that I made way back when. So, I made this little diagram, this spider diagram, a while before I made the first, like, small prototype. And this covered several areas. And admittedly, I did, like, kind of half-ass this originally by having the player model there, but having the, like, the retargeted animations, like, retargeted from the Unreal character model, serve as those animations for the longest time. Which works for the purpose of, like, getting things set up, but it was very necessary to get an actual, like, set of animations made up for the player character, like, eventually. It was necessary. So, it was good that I did that. Include a penis slider that affects level of detail render distance. Jesus. Hi, Nick. So we kind of have this done, in a way. But again, it's a case of the animations that I have now most likely won't be the final animations in any case, but they do serve their purpose for the time being. So, those are there for now. We have some sound effects. Well, I say we have some sound effects. We have, like, a decent number of sound effects. Though I realize that maybe the sound effect that I have for the wall slide is... oh, wait, no. There we go. It's not entirely necessary. So if I go back into the engine, I need to double check if Unreal Audio is... Yeah, it's set to this. And I don't know if it's... It should be turned up. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to make sure that things are coming through OBS. Okay, I need to adjust the slider for that because it's definitely not going to be very audible. Oh yeah, so I do have a sound effect for wall jumping and whatnot, but I don't think that I actually need a sound effect for wall sliding, because from what I've looked at from... So, I mean, it may be necessary, I think... I don't know, because some games have walls, like a sound effect for wall sliding, and other games don't. And... like, it's my decision. It's like ultimately like what I feel like would work at the end of the day. But part of me wants to have a sound effect for wall sliding, and part of me also feels like it really isn't necessary. So I'm not 100% certain on that. So I guess I'm kind of at an impasse with it at the moment, if that makes sense. So but yeah, no. It is something that I do intend on, like, you know, deliberating on, basically. So yeah, no. Tangent aside, so we have basically sound effects for the most part. We don't have any music, though. That's gonna take a while to understand. I don't have an actual level. Like, I have the test level environment, though that doesn't necessarily count as an actual level. And I don't have any finalized enemy designs, nor do I have, like, and by extension, I don't have any finalized, like, enemy models sort of made up yet. That is something that I need to work on as well, given time and effort. And that will happen, but that requires time. Now, one other key thing that I kind of sort of like did as a dotted line on this diagram, because it's like, you know what, this may not be necessary for it, but now I'm thinking that this may actually be mildly necessary. Oh yeah, you used a different pencil way back when, that's why. But yeah, no. The one thing that I'm realizing is that NPC dialogue kind of technically, like, includes, tutorial dialogue as, you know, part, like, under that as an umbrella term. And I realize that, hey, if I'm wanting to help the player learn how to play the game, it may actually be necessary. It may actually be necessary to, you know, have a dialogue system. So that may actually be something that I need to consider when, you know, trying to make an actual working prototype. Because I need to be able to clearly and concisely convey this information to the player, rather than trying to have the environment teach the player things, which doesn't always work out. Like, sometimes it works, but it doesn't always. work. So yes, that will be something that I consider. So extending on this. So I'm going to make another tab. So extending on this with the NPC dialogue. We don't need, like, something, like, overly complex. We don't need, like, one dialogue option that branches into two, which can branch into, like, many, many others, or have, like, decisions that, you know, affect relationships and stuff like that. Like, we don't need any of that type of stuff for this game. Because it's not a narrative, like, it's not a story-driven, narratively focused project, really. Like, it just needs, you know, simple things. It just needs, you know, sometimes an NPC will just, like, give a general statement about, you know, things that are happening, like, blah, 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 and they'll do it in sequence. There's no, like, oh, you're agreeing to do this thing, and the NPC will say, oh yeah, la-di-da-di-da, if you say no, like, oh, never mind. But then sometimes that will happen, so I don't know why. I guess Pac-Man shape is kind of good for drawing a person just yapping the hell out of things. So, so have, you know, one line of dialogue like, oh, can you do this for me? And then, you know, you branch off of based on yes or no, and then, you know, you like, yeah, da da da, or but, you know, not necessarily just that, because imagine if everything was just... You know what, I say that, and then I remember, oh wait, a famous series of games where a lot of the dialogue sounds like random noises and mumbles, and that's Banjo-Kazooie. And I love Banjo-Kazooie. And then I suffered through Banjo-Tooie. For a video that I still haven't finished making. So, anyway, tangent aside, like, funny little tangent aside. Basically, we don't need, like, these complex, convoluted, like, lines of dialogue that require, you know, having triggered certain flags or anything like that. We don't need... we really don't need any of that. The most we need is just either simple strings of dialogue or, you know, one line of dialogue, you say yes, it triggers one option, or if you say no, it triggers another one. That's basically it. That's all we need. And maybe, you know, when you say yes, then something like a flag is checked within a level, or it moves you from one place to another, or it lets you enter, you know, a new area, or or just triggers a special event, who knows. And if you say no, then nothing happens. You know, that's basically really all we would need it to do. We don't need anything, you know, too much more than that, basically, for an NPC dialogue. And from the way I see it, if we were looking at the likes of, say, Banjo or Spyro, or stuff along those lines, then you would have a character that is, like, you know, friendly to the player. So, friend, teaches you how to play the game. Okie doke. Okie dokie doke. So, friend teaches you how to play. I added the is cool thing for, like, a little funny. But yeah, no. You have, like, a character that's either close to the player character, or, you know, is somewhat aware of the player character, and you would have them teach you how to, or teach the player how to play the game by just, you know, talking to the player character. You know, like how Bottles teaches Banjo and Kazooie their basic move pool at the start of Banjo-Kazooie, and also teaches them each new move they come across. Jam Jars fulfills that role in Banjo-Tooie. In Spyro, depending on the game, I'm gonna use Spyro 3 as my example because I'm biased as fuck. How you have Zoe teaching you, like, Zoe the Fairy, like, teaching you some small bits about, like, the camera and whatnot, but you have the likes of, say, Hunter teaching you how to glide, and also telling you, oh yeah, you can press the action button to do a little hover at the end of your glide and stuff like that. So, and hey, it may not necessarily just be one character that does things. It may be 2. It may be 3. You know, however many is really needed in order to help teach the player how to do things. And at the very least, to do just the bare basics. Oh gosh. Gosh. Anywho, right, okay. So that's just kind of me going on a tangent about and sort of looping around the same points about the NPC dialogue. Now, will that be my immediate focus? Who knows? I might consider trying to do it, like, as soon as possible, so that within the test level environment, I have, like, an NPC that the player can interact with to, like, at certain points in the area, so that they can say, oh yeah, use these keys or buttons to move. Press this to jump. Press jump in midair to air dash. If you jump against a wall, you can wall jump. You know, at the relevant segments, of course. But yeah, no. So that likely will become, like, a bit of a focus. I know I keep making new tabs in Clip Studio, but that's so if I ever need to sort of quickly go over other things in order again, you know, it's a lot easier rather than undoing and redoing and stuff. So... so at the moment, in terms of, like... so information conveyance... if we're talking about, like, how we can convey information, you can do it implicitly. Animation. Environment design. Etc. Or you could do it explicitly just through, like, written or spoken dialogue. And at the moment, in terms of, like, looking at these two through a specific lens, I'd say we're doing better with some of the animations on the player side, at least. So... but for the enemies, because we don't have any models or anything for them at all, like, aside from the Unreal, like, mannequins, then we're kind of lackluster in this department. We don't have, like, an animation for when the enemy sort of reacts to the player, like, or, like, an animation when they're sort of scared and they're cowering away from them. So we don't have anything that implies, oh yeah, if they're running away from the player, then they're scared of them, or if they've spotted, or if they're chasing after you, they've spotted you and they've reacted to you, or stuff along those lines. We don't have anything that really helps with that. And in terms of environment design, like, sure, sorry, I'm still munching on carrots. And it's good to eat carrots. But also, I'm sorry if it's kind of, like, mildly distracting or just... There we go. Right. And in terms of the environment design, if we go into the project... oh, wait, I just went to the starting soon screen. Whoops. brain. Oh yeah, no, I remember now. If I go into maps, test level, yeah, here. So in terms of environment design, I'm just gonna play from the start. So it's like, oh hey, you know, you can jump up these, if you want. I feel like I could definitely throw ladder here rather than have these, because it feels like a bit cumbersome, especially with how they're placed. And how it's kind of a bit of a stretch on how you get up there. Like, it's very cumbersome. It's not very well implemented, I'd say. So... and, like, there's nothing that, like, oh yeah, no, you can just sort of, like... sort of run across, or if you want to get past these, then, you know, sprint. And then here is like, oh yeah, you can air dash if you want. But aside from, like, that's one's not so much of a problem in environment design and more so a problem of, oh hey, we haven't, hello. But it's more so of a problem of, oh yeah, we haven't told you that you can air dash, so what the hell are you supposed to do here? Nothing. And then this one's like, oh yeah, things are a bit further than usual. Maybe you can't make it, or maybe you can sprint and air dash and double air dash. And I feel like because I didn't, you know, properly do things, like I just have like a grey texture here. I don't have anything that implies, oh yeah, this is a breakable surface. And I don't have like an NPC or a tutorial thing that says, oh yeah, you can use a stomp if you want to break through like breakable surfaces and whatnot. I don't have something like that yet. So that is something that needs to be looked into going forward. I guess what I'm really trying to say is that I want to try and improve, like, how information is given to the player. But also do it in a way where it's not like I'm being too hand-holdy, because otherwise a lot of people do complain about when things are a bit too hand-holdy. Also, I'm going to quickly put something in the kitchen. I will be back in just... and also go to the bathroom. I'll be back in just a few moments. Okay, back. Sorry about that. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about getting information to the player. Need to improve it. Want to do it in a way that's not too handholdy and not too like, it's in your face. You have to read everything. You're getting all the information dumped onto you. Yes. But sorry. But like I've lost myself. Yeah, NPC dialogue is going to contribute to this, like, a fair bit, because it will help. Create DLC with racist mode, where the color of your rat affects various things about... Jesus! Have Dragon Age style branching story paths that are open and... oh, good lord. Oh, good lord. In form of story, situation... etc. And this is why this is super bloody helpful. So, in terms of environment design, either in terms of structure or textures... So in terms of structure, introduce an amazing Spider-Man 2 style hero and vigilante system. There we go. Whew. Animation, environment design, and then the written spoken dialogue. And in terms of, like, other ways of getting across information, I guess, like... What streak reached? What is wrong with me? Why do I do this? I didn't realize it did... That's amazing. I didn't realize it did that. So sound effects can contribute. New stream element to be added to the layout. Go on. You know, just scrap the whole thing and then make a tweet and say hire fans. You know? You know, like every other person who's like, oh, this is Super Mario in Unreal Engine 4/5. You know what? You should hire fans. Nintendo, hire this man! Find this man! This will be Super Mario 2030. Hmm. And now I'm realizing something else. There's something else that I'm also thinking about. Not in terms of, like, information conveyance. Um, I guess, in a way, it's kind of part of information conveyance. And I'm making another tab in Clip Studio. I'm sorry, but also not sorry. Um, I'm just the master of creating of unnecessarily creating extra tabs just because. Um, introduce a sweat mechanic where the moister you are, the slipperier you are, and the more you slide around. I'll keep that in mind for something else. I'll keep that in mind for something else. um. Oh yes, right. So the other little thing of information conveyance, like not just in terms of like conveying like like details of like what's happening or how to play or stuff like that, it's conveying the importance of certain events or certain things that happen. Like at the moment, hi Day. So right now, so for example, like the player is moving towards like an important collectible. Update happened and the video I was working got... Oh. Oh shit. Oh fuck. So, and the player is going towards an important collectible. When they collect it, you know, they just run right through it. You know, nothing important happens. There's no, like, fanfare. There's no, like, little jingle. There's no dance or anything like that. You know, they just sort of run through it, run past it and whatnot. What I would eventually want to have happen is, you know, have the player, like, you know, do the same as they were doing before, run towards a collectible, make it play the Final Fantasy Battle Over music. From which game, though, Day? From which game? From Final Fantasy III, the classic. Ta 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 ta. So they go towards the collectible, and then, you know, rather than just them running past it, they have, like... They have, like, a little celebration. Sorry that this stick man is so jank. They have the celebration, and then they just, like, get on with... You're playing Hades and Exard. How's it been, like, getting used to Exard? And then afterwards they sort of go back to normal. But yeah, no. But that's what I want instead. Hades 2 is good, really liking it. Got to the second main boss in 4 runs. Now I'm at a wall. Yeah, that, to be fair, that happens. That happens. Exard is a dizzy main. Gamma is odd. It says 6, 4, 6. Yeah, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Double air dash is cool, and having to mix both Neck and Undine Suns is cool but hard. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, her instant kill is great. Her instant kill is great because everyone just surrenders. Everyone surrenders. And she is not a set play zoner, she is a summon. Oh yeah, no, that's what. And then in Exard, Jacko was entirely just about the minions. Like, there weren't, really, many things as like, oh, you're mixing the minions into combos. No, for the most part, your game plan is just the minions. That is basically your game plan as a Jacko main in Exard. Kai has Greed Sever in Exard, and it's fucking ridiculous. Greed Sever in that game is ridiculous. And the ad break starts in a few minutes, by the way, chat. So yeah, no. Going over things again, we kind of have, like, a timeline of things that's happened so far. We got the initial prototype. We got, like... Raven gets horny and scared. And Bedman is a... Received some feedback. We actioned most of the feedback. And then, we were thinking, oh yeah, where do we go next? And we were basically sort of going over what we already had planned out. But like, oh yeah, this is what we need for an initial prototype. And then going into, like, we've kind of done this for the most part. We have this in place already, thanks to, working on an Unreal subsystem specifically for it. Sound effects, which we have, and I kind of briefly went over the fact that, oh hey, maybe it's not necessary to have a sound effect for the wall slide, considering the fact that not every game has a sound effect for the wall slide. So, that it depends. It all depends. But, and we don't have music. That's a different beast in its entirety. And we don't have, like, an actual level and actual enemy designs, or finalized enemy designs yet. But then when we were going into NPC dialogue, we talked about how, like, for our requirements, for our needs, we don't need, like, something convoluted, something that's, like, many different branching paths or, things that affect relationships with characters and stuff, at the very least for this project. What we simply need are just NPCs that sort of talk your ear off for, like, a few lines of dialogue and they're done, or they talk your ear off, they say, can you help me with this? You say yes or no, and it does a thing depending on whatever happens. And for the, like, the test level environment or the tutorial, they're basically just there to help you learn things. And then we just kind of went into, like, last note on Hades 2. I'm gonna have to finish, like, re-explaining everything after the ad break, I feel, because it's a fair bit to still sort of, like, rehash or get over again. But yeah, no, the ad break is starting. Oh. Yes. Yeah, pretty much. But yes, ad break starting. We'll be back in a few minutes. I'll continue going over things, when we're all done with the ads, so hang on tight, we'll be back very soon. Okay, we're back. Where is the thingamajiggy? There we go. But yeah, no, going back to what you said, Day, pretty much. So now in terms of fucking, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to get my brain back in order now that I've had the ad break. Okay, so, oh, yep, no, now I remember. So, I was explaining things again. So, already went over, like, like, the timeline, basically, like, what I was expecting for, like, a prototype to be made. What requirements I have for the NPC dialogue. And then basically was going over, you know, these are the ways in which we can give information to the player, like either implicitly through like player animations, sort of or enemy animations indicating, you know, a thing that's currently in motion, that's happening and whatnot, or through the environment design, which can be, you know, how structures are laid out, how textures are drawn, and so on and so forth, and how. For the player, for the most part, we've gotten better with it, but because there are no like enemy like finalized designs and animations there, we can't really do this on that front, and we haven't really done a good job with the environment stuff because with the thing that you're able to stomp to break the floor and whatnot, it's just a flat grey texture. It's just, you know, there's nothing to imply that this is breakable. And as I've already said, there's no NPC there to basically say, oh yeah, you could also stomp through things to break them. So you see this floor here? It's looking a bit unstable. There's stuff like that. And that's kind of like, it's not just like leaning on one or the other, but it's kind of trying to use what's essentially like a marriage of the two to try and sort of help guide the player along. But yes, and then as I've already said, sound effects are very important for things as well, for conveying information, depending on like, oh yeah, this is an important thing you found. Let's, you know, play a sound that makes it feel important. And although I haven't properly played it, there's one example of a game that, like, where previously in the series, it was kind of like, oh yeah, this is like a mildly important item. You play a jingle when you collect it. But then, like, in that particular entry, there's just no sound effect at all, no little fanfare, it's just, you know, you got it. I'm specifically talking about Mega Man 7. No, not Mega Man 7, Mega Man X7. I'm talking about Mega Man X7. And I'm talking specifically about the health upgrades. Because in that game, for some baffling reason, there is no sound effect that plays when you collect a health upgrade. It just happens silently. Whereas in the previous games in the series, you'd get like a little jingle that plays whenever you pick up a health upgrade. Because, you know, it's a fairly significant item. It gives you more health. It helps you survive longer in levels. And possibly can be the difference between, you know, making it through a difficult encounter with one of the Mavericks or just dying. So it is baffling where, you know, you have an item that is kind of note and you don't have anything to sort of indicate that. It's just kind of like, it's there and it's gone. And the last thing that I touched upon was the likes of, well, if we have important items such as a primary collectible, at the moment, I'm not really conveying its importance that well. I don't have, like, an animation that plays when the player picks up one, much like when Mario grabs a Power Star in Super Mario 64, or when Banjo grabs a Jiggy in the original Banjo-Kazooie, because it doesn't happen in Banjo-Tooie. Like, the jingle still plays, don't get me wrong, but it plays very quickly. But yeah, no. So, like, in original Banjo-Kazooie, you have the full jingle for picking up a Jiggy, and you have the animation that plays, where Banjo sort of grabs the Jiggy, like, raises it above his head, and then Kazooie just pokes her head out of the backpack and just plonks it right in the backpack. Which, you know, it's a neat little animation. It's a neat little thing. Back, had to fight as all my Google was not signed. Alright. And then in Super Mario 64, you have, like, Mario doing his little twirl as he holds the Power Star in his hand. Like, he does, like, the spin and then just raises his hand up with the Power Star in his hand. And then, with Spyro, like, with Spyro, like, Spyro 3, rather than, like, the character doing something, when you collect one of the dragon eggs in Spyro 3, it focuses on the egg hatching and whatever baby dragon you get from the egg. Like, it's not so much, like, from the character, like, the player's perspective, but more so from, like, oh yeah, you rescued this... You rescued this baby dragon. You did this thing. Like, this is the life that you just saved. So, you know, it's those little touches that help convey the importance of, like, what you're collecting or what you're trying to do. So, instead of, like, right now, where I just have, oh yeah, the player just runs through a thing. Nothing else happens. They just run through, like, a counter appears for the collectible. You know, it ticks up one, and so on and so forth. Nothing special happens. And instead, what I want to happen instead is the player runs into the collectible, the primary collectible. They strike a little pose. They bust the pose out. And then, you know, you can go back to what you were doing before. Whether that's, like, still within the same level. Or, you know, if I do things like Super Mario 64, where you get a Power Star and then you just go back to the hub world. Though I don't think I want to do that, because I feel like it would be very cumbersome. Because, admittedly, the reason why Super Mario 64 did it is because depending on what, like in the levels, I mean, the levels are called courses in that game, but depending on, like, what mission you chose within that level, it would affect certain things being, like, appearing or being present within that level. So, I can understand why it was done for that game, and also for the likes of, say, Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy, even though... Oh lord. Oh, sorry about that. Although for the case of Super Mario Galaxy, that's more of a case of, oh yeah, you're not able to freely explore the entirety of a galaxy. You just have a specific portion of the level that you're thrown into depending on the Power Star that you're going for. But I like Spyro's approach where that one state that you find the level in is essentially, oh yeah, like, this is the only version of this level's layout or design. you know, there's no other, like, shape it can take, no other ways it can be, like, designed and whatnot. So, I'll change music now. We're going for Pokemon now. But basically, I do like that approach, though I do admit there is kind of, like, a bit of a charm that, like, those Mario games have in terms of, like, oh yeah, you're choosing this mission in this level now. The entire context of the level has changed. There are different things going on here. I do like that variety, but I feel like it would take a lot more doing to just sort of, like, have different versions of the same level. So I feel like, for the sake of, like, time and whatnot, it's definitely a lot easier for that, but I don't know, I went on this tangent because I was talking about, oh yeah, so at the moment, like, instead, I want the player to be able to sort of grab it, strike a pose, and then, like, you know, go back to what you were doing before, and then I went on to talk about how Super Mario 64 just kind of boots you back to the hub world, like in Peach's Castle, just because of how the levels in that game work in terms of, like, missions determining certain things being available and whatnot. But, yeah, no, in my case, it will be much like the Spyro games and Banjo-Kazooie, where, you know, you pick up the thing, you do the thing, and then you go back to what you were doing before, basically. So, that's pretty much kind of it. Now, in terms of dialogue, oh yeah, no, think. Oh yeah, no, that's basically kind of it. So, simply put, I want to take more of the steps to ensure that we can get, like, a fuller demo. So if I was to go through my options, through like the list of things that need to be done. So information, through dialogue, enemy models, plus animations. And, like, this is definitely the first one, but whatever follows may not necessarily be the order that I do it in. It is just, you know, blotting things down to say, yeah, this is the stuff that I have planned now. So, the main thing is the information through the dialogue, then having, like, information conveyed through enemy character models and animations, you know, this is what this enemy is doing, this is what, you know, this enemy is doing, is it attacking, is it running away, is it, you know, cowering in fear, or is it being sneaky to lead the player to a certain, like, obstacle or trap? You know, it's, You know, different things that tell the player, like, you know, implicitly through their actions, like, oh wait, this enemy's doing this. This enemy is actually trying to do this. Or, wow, this enemy's pathetic. It's running away. It's scared. It's, you know, a coward. Or, you know, stuff along those lines, you know, which is pretty helpful. And then, all in all, like, having an actual level environment or design, like, or restructuring the test level, because at the moment, it works for its purpose, but I feel like it definitely needs to be adjusted, maybe, depending. So... we're getting some... yeah... To be fair, that previous one was Super Mystery Dungeon's music, but I haven't played that Mystery Dungeon game, sadly. Also, a bit of a tangent. So, back in 2020, they released a remake of the original Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Like, the original two Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, like the first duo, which was Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team, was re-released as like a singular game called Rescue Team DX, and I'm pretty sure from what I remember that it sold pretty well, but I'm kind of sad that since then there has been no other remakes of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, and I'm thinking to myself, but Game Freak, you could remake literally the best Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game. You could remake Explorers of Sky. You know, the fucking the best Mystery Dungeon game is. I'm saying this, no hyperbole. It is honestly, quite honestly, peak fiction, and I love the second Mystery Dungeon game. I love Explorers of Sky. It's so good. Like, the story is so good. But yes, so I'm gonna quickly do a little bit of a search. Let me do some checks. And of course you've got one that's like... okay, so the thing is, like... oh Jesus, sorry. I zoned out. I zoned out terribly because I was looking at like the list of tutorials and I had a point that I was trying to make, and then I just lost my focus. But yeah, no. So the funny thing I was going to talk about when it comes to like tutorials, if you look them up for like a specific thing within an engine, there's either, oh yeah, this one is like fairly short and sweet, you know, it's not, you know, too long or too complicated, or it just, you know, isn't like something that's unnecessarily long. But then you've got, you know, oh hey, here is a 40-minute video on, oh yeah, here's a huge dialogue system. When I just need a simple one. I don't need one that's like, oh yeah, this is a 40-minute video on how to create a basic, like, create a branching dynamic dialogue system. I don't need this. I don't need this at all. Okay, so I found one that's like relatively simple. I know I'm not in the engine yet, but I found one for an NPC dialogue system that seems relatively simple. So throw the engine back up. Let's say game blueprints. So we have enemies. Now I'm going to say, I'm going to make a new one, call it NPCs. So, from my understanding, to be fair, I can just, you know, my brain. Okay, so it is relatively simple. Oh, also, I forgot to say, I nearly finished Persona 4, but I initially fucked up and got the neutral ending where you don't do... Oh! Okay. Well, at the very least, you're almost at the end. Like, how have you been finding it overall? Hmm. Actually, there's one, like... Ah. Like, ooh, why is... Like, the combat and persona fusing mechanics are good. M's dungeon was fun, if not a bit tedious. Mm-hmm. To be fair, it kind of was a little bit tedious now, from what I remember. Have an act component for dialogue. Have a specific interface for interacting with NPCs, though I may... I have to double check, because at the moment, I don't know... But I've used Lucifer and a bunch of other personas with elemental breaks, so it wasn't too bad. And since Lucifer has that ability where you get all your HP and SP back, it wasn't the one. Oh, right. Alright. Right, what was I thinking? Oh yeah, no. Double checking things with, like, controller. To be fair, now that I'm thinking about it, it is kind of spot on. Like, still having Y also be, like, an interact with an NPC button. So... Ooh, hello! Right, so basically, this can be used as, like... I don't have it... I just realized that I don't have the controller set up to be able to interact with the UI, so that's kind of not good. I, need to sort that out. So that's something that needs to be, you know, that's a little thing that needs to be fixed. You know, it's fine. So anyway, I need another interface. So it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly 100% fine. You know, it's little steps. It's little things. I'm gonna try not to overwhelm myself, because I tend to have that happen quite a bit, and that's kind of not a very good thing. Okay, so go C++ classes, public, interaction, damage interface. I'll probably make it like this is going to be like Unreal interface. This will be TP in. And this will be specifically for interacting like with NPCs or with signs or stuff along those lines. Public. Yeah, public. Nope. Right. And then I need to open up Rider because I haven't. There we go. Right. Now, I'm hoping that it's appeared. It's going to take a moment. Just needs to load the project. I know today is definitely going to be the case of I get things started with like sorting out things for the NPCs, but then I, you know, get on, like continue getting on with it the next Sunday and whatnot. Hopefully that should have... Interaction... Yep, there we go. Right, the interaction interface. Right, so I don't need the anim instance and the damage interface stuff open at the moment. So I will quickly... Yeah, just to remember... It's a U function, blueprint native, blueprint callable. So, and it's within the public section. And it's going to be a void method. And it will simply be called interact. And then another thing that I need to do in the project itself. So, I'm going to make another class. Where is act component? So, public / dialog system. And it will be called NPC dialog comp. So, NPC dialog component. Oh no, I'll just call it NPC dialogue component. Right. And now we have a system for, you know, the NPC dialogue component. Now my brain. Hold on. It's getting to that time of night. It's getting to that time of night. Ah! Right. So do I make it? No, it needs to be. Does it need to be public or does it need to be protected? I think it needs to be public. So, U function. So, void speak dialogue. Add a comment here saying, yeah, this is what we need to do. We need to add the actual dialogue functionality. Ouch. Ow. Okay, so next thing to do is so it's text. Trying to remember how that goes in I'm pretty sure it's I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. I think air patrol path into there. Face projectile, keep damage interface. Was it in the ability system? Is it U-text? I'm pretty sure it's a U-text. Or it would be F-name. It might be F-name. Oh wait, no, it is F-text. I'm silly. It's been a while since I've had to work with text variables in C++. So hold on. That's not it. Oh yeah, no, there it is. Allow not preserve ratio, private access. It's going to be f text, or it needs to be. So according to what I found, there's so f text, and this is going to be speaker name, and then U property. Edit anywhere, blueprint, not blueprint callable. Honestly, I think the problem is that I've been doing like so much with like the animations and whatnot. I got out of the rhythm of being a code monkey. That's basically what happened. So tmap f text so tmap f text. Right, and that's going to be the actual dialogue that we have for this for the NPC component. The NPC dialogue component, that is. Jesus. Jesus. Oh, gosh. Okay, now I'm debating whether or not... Oh wait, no, it's T-array. I forgot. Right, so tmap is the dictionary, T-array is the one that we need. Okay. Oh, God. Lord. This is what happens when you go so many, like, Game Dev Sundays just working on the player model and animations. Let me think. But of course, let me think. I will probably like look at revising how I'm actually going to implement the thing, but at the very least, having the interact interface would be helpful. So I'm gonna go into the P player controller. Yep, there we go. TB player controller. And it'll be the stomp. I would need to adjust this a little bit. So and then in that way, I would probably need to change this thing from player stomp to action, or player action, or player action input, or player action button. I'm not sure. Because in like Spyro 3, they don't call it press the hover button. They call it press the action button. So if I go into the player character interface, so interaction, that's not it. Oh wait, it's in the player character interface. So do I have anything that checks? Get has player been hit? Get player movement. I do not have anything that check. Oh no, wait, I do. Get is on ground. And then if I go into the H for the player character. Oh wait, no, not the H. The C++ file. Oh wait, I clicked player controller. Whoops. I do! Right, so I have that implemented. I typed in else, not eh. Ryder, hello? Ryder froze up a little bit. Oh, there we go. I'm going to say iPlayer, because I don't have it implemented as a thing within the interface yet. execute underscore player interact get. Oh wait, I forgot to say get pawn. There we go. So we're going to go into the player interface. View function blueprint native event. And then we're going to say void then go back into the player controller. Yeah. And then where is all the... I'm pretty sure they're closer to the top from what I remember. Yeah, there we go. So virtual void. Sorry, oh, add start in 2 minutes. Virtual void player interact implementation. Sphere trace. Right. This, trace start, trace end, yeah. So Ukismet system library. So Ukismet system library, sphere, trace, single, this, get actor location, get actor location. Let's say hello, there we go. Chord vector times F vector (200, 0, 0). Right, the ads are starting again. The trace type query 1. Take. You're a actor, yep. Hello? There we go. What duration? Interaction hit. True. And that's pretty much it for that. And then so it's victory single, la di da di da. But at the moment, I don't think I want anything to happen. Except for right, so for the time being, I want to right, I'll close the engine. And then we compile. Oh, the ads are over. Hello, welcome back. We're just compiling the code. Uh, So, for the time being, I haven't done anything specifically like, oh, this happens when the thing happens. Why is it being like this? Is weird. Anyway, but that is technically working, even though it's being a bit odd. But yeah, no. I haven't done anything specific, like, properly interaction-wise. I am just laying the foundations. But yes, we're taking next steps. Those next steps will be trying to make sure that we can get a proper, like, dialogue system through which we can convey, like, oh yeah, this is how you play and whatnot. I'm gonna stew on this idea a bit more. I'm gonna call things there for today, because, you know, it is getting later and whatnot. Not as late as it normally would be, but you know how it is with game dev streams for the most part these days for me. I like to make sure that I don't push myself too much. But yes, to everyone who showed up and everyone watching things back on the VOD, whether it's here on Twitch or on YouTube, depending on when you're watching this, thank you ever so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Next stream will be tomorrow. We'll be getting back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. We'll be getting through more of that again, thankfully. But yes, looking forward to that. But thank you ever so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you